I was visiting my parents here in Austin for the weekend, and I just decided, like, I'd kind of been in like denial, like, oh, my period probably it's just late because I was traveling, like I didn't, you know, kind of just putting it off, like in denial and just not wanting to think about it. But it kind of like, you can only do that for so long before you like feel like you're like, I just need to know. When I first saw the sonogram, I was pretty devastated. I had been, you know, kind of hoping like, oh, it's been a mistake, like you're not pregnant, you know, faulty pregnancy test. I really thought that my life was over because I never wanted to have a child, get married, any of that stuff. So it wasn't like this had just happened before I wanted it to happen. It just wasn't something I ever wanted to happen. So I was like, whoa, this is the end of my life as I know it. Like everything I've ever wanted, like now I'm trapped. I'm trapped forever. I mean, I did want an abortion, but there's a big difference between wanting something and actually being like, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So it's something I would fantasize about and be like, oh, my problems could be over so easily, but I could never really go through with it. And I did, my boyfriend in Paris, he did say that that would be, you know, the best solution for us to do. That was the way he phrased it, I think. And he was really angry that I didn't want to because he said, you know, I was kind of stealing his youth from him, you know, it wasn't just me in this situation, like my decision was affecting him, which is true, but of course it affects him, my choice is affecting him, but I didn't really feel like that was a choice I was going to make because I knew that it would be taking a human life. And I knew that the heart started beating, you know, 3 weeks after conception. It was 4 weeks when I found out I was pregnant. So even though nothing was really showing up on the sonogram at 4 weeks, we know, you know, by science, there's a beating heart. So I would not have been able to live with myself. I ended up having my Dr. Calamritas of the Vitae Clinic as my obstetrician, and then, you know, he was absolutely wonderful. Like I didn't feel like a patient. I felt like almost like he was my counselor and my friend. You know, like I would go in there for appointments, like, you know, just basically wanting to die, just hating my situation, and he would just like talk to me, like go through my issues and my emotions for like 30-45 minutes, and then he would do his doctor thing. Whereas usually with doctors, it's like, I mean, they barely look you in the eye. So I was like, wow, this is definitely nothing I've ever experienced before, but it was exactly what I needed because, you know, in times like that, you just kind of need people to be present. It was awesome that JP2 Center was going to show me real options that I could trust in, and, you know, it made me feel like I had some control over the situation. So, being pregnant and having Sophia, it's really, in some ways I feel like I'm, you know, the same person I've always been, but in another deeper way, I do feel completely different. Basically just more in touch with what I want, who I am and what I want, and how to go about getting that. But really, I don't feel like I had to give anything. I don't feel like I really sacrificed anything. I feel like I have someone along for the ride. So everything that I've always loved doing, you know, dancing, going to museums, different languages, all that stuff that I'm still into it. I just share it with someone, whereas before it was just, you know, me. And so I mean, life just feels even more fuller now. I got through, you know, the worst year of my life, and it ended up being the best year of my life in a way. You know, what you think is the worst time in your life sometimes turns out to be the best. But you can never know in you can only see that in retrospect. A lot of people have a little bit of pity towards me, which is, I'm like, I don't pity myself at all. I'm actually extremely happy because everyone had faith that I was doing the right thing and that this was gonna turn out for the best for me. And so you sense that, like, even, you know, it's not always being said outright. Like, you sense when you're around people who believe in you, and don't just think you're like this girl who made, you know, a dumb mistake in her life and she's just gonna have to try to figure out a way to deal with it, as opposed to empowering myself, which is how people at the GPT Center and the VTA clinic see me. I think I would say something along the lines to what I tell my friends who maybe have had abortions in the past, or, you know, just really don't want to have children. You know, they've told me, like, when they hear me and Sophia's story, it makes them kind of rethink it. They're like, oh, I feel like I'm the way you used to be, and you make me see motherhood differently, because I do just point out, you know, everyone has their hobbies and their passions in life. Everyone wants to share that with someone else. Your child is just one, you know, very joyful way of doing that. It's not just the child that's bringing you joy. It's the fact that it kind of makes what you want out of life so much clearer, and you're willing to go the extra mile to get what you want, because now it's not just you, it's you and your child, and you want the best for both of you. And you get so excited imagining, you know, the life that you want.